still exists. The wait for Fallout 5 will become one of gaming's longest, with Bethesda's focus on Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 pushing the next entry in the series far into the future. Yet, despite the absence of an official sequel, Bethesda has kept the franchise going in the form of the popular Amazon TV show and an online live service that has certainly had its ups and downs. More noteworthy, though, is how the Fallout community continues to keep the wasteland alive through sheer passion and creativity. Massive fan projects like Fallout London have effectively delivered a full-scale new game, offering fresh settings, stories, and factions that rival Bethesda's own efforts. With Fallout Bakersfield on the horizon, the modding scene shows no signs of slowing down. These ambitious works not only preserve interest in the series, but also demonstrate how deeply fans understand and care for the world of Fallout, often pushing its ideas further than the studio that has popularized it. It's this sort of creative muscle that makes the wait for Fallout 5 bearable, but also highlights the concerns that are mounting of a studio that feels more and more disconnected from the expectations that gamers have of big-budget RPGs these days. Still, that doesn't mean the genre itself is slowing down, far from it. In fact, we're seeing new studios step up and deliver the kind of rich, choice-driven experiences fans have been craving. One of those taking on this mission is today's sponsor, Rules of Engagement: The Gray State, a free-to-play tactical RPG shooter set in an unstable dimension overrun by horrific monstrosities and alien artifacts. As you can see with its new gameplay trailer, it is full of fast-paced combat and a mix of genres that come together in a really unique way. The build potential is real here, with a focus on player freedom. What that means is combining classes with a massive skill tree is encouraged. I personally will gravitate towards the Sledge class, the point-blank demolition skill sounds like a class, a literal one, as the sledgehammer enjoys an explosive tip that sends enemies flying. What's cool is that this isn't just it's a PvPvE experience with monsters, bounty hunting, layer progression, and most importantly, no killer nonsense. Every match is a gamble between playing it safe or risking it all for legendary loot. So become a strider, an elite operative, hired to venture into the Gray State. Do that by following my link in the description down below and wishlisting the game now on Steam. Join today. Thank you again to Rules of Engagement: The Gray State for sponsoring the video and supporting the channel. So Bethesda is no stranger to criticism. There's been an immense amount of it over the last number of years, and just recently on the channel, we talked about how former developers were giving their opinion on The Elder Scrolls 6 and how Bethesda needed to evolve forward. And some of the opinion was that there needed to be more creative freedom within the teams, and there was also an argument made that an engine switch was necessary. There's definitely been some very divided opinions on Bethesda, especially in these modern times, as their games just have not delivered in the way that a lot of people had hoped for. And look, the discussion has not just been on the engine or creative freedom, it's also just been on the overall quality of writing and the design of these games. This has been one of the core complaints, and it's not going away. But one more criticism that we actually heard recently came from the Fallout co-creator Tim Kaine, who acknowledged Bethesda made the franchise bigger, but he would have done things differently. Did they expect the way they would have? No, not at all. That's okay. And he specifically brought up the fact of Fallout's humor as one thing that he doesn't think Bethesda did in the way that he agrees. He said the humor and style would have been different. Fallout was what the 50s thought the future was, not the 50s. Like I said, just very interesting hearing these differing opinions about Bethesda and how they've taken this franchise, but it does need to be acknowledged that Bethesda made this franchise what it is. They popularized it to a whole new audience, and the reason why many of us even have love for this franchise or talking about it today is because of Bethesda's involvement. That is undeniable. But there's also a reason why so many people care about this franchise, is because they want to see it get better. And that's why the wait is on Bethesda's next installment, Fallout 5. Bethesda in 2021 committed that they are working on this. This is their game. And this was something that Todd Howard acknowledged in an interview with IGN. Interviewer Ryan McCaffrey brought up the fact that Bethesda is currently concentrating on Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6, something that is still true to this day because Starfield's second expansion is something that is a major focus of the studio, while they weren't obviously the main concentration on The Elder Scrolls 6. But Todd Howard was asked if a new Fallout installment may be given to a different developer. And again, you just have to consider the massive gaps between these installments and the fact that between Fallout 4 to Fallout 5, it's going to be like 15 or so years. So it's a reasonable question to ask. And Ryan McCaffrey, the interviewer, brought up the point of maybe a sister Xbox studio or maybe Fallout New Vegas creator Obsidian Entertainment could make the new installment. but Howard doubled down, saying that this is their game. He explained the nuclear role-playing franchise is really part of Bethesda's DNA, so he rejected that. This is their game, they're going to work on it eventually, before revealing a one-page design document for Fallout 5 that's already been printed. This one-pager is a single-page document outlining the major ideas and concepts of the project in its early development process. Some of this has already been influencing the Fallout TV show, with certain aspects and certain elements that the team has admitted that they're having to steer away from because they don't want to get in that territory that Bethesda is eventually going to explore. However, that was 2021. There's some more updates we're going to get into in a second. But besides Fallout 5, in an official capacity, what are we looking at in terms of new installments? There really is just not a lot to go off. In 2022, we actually had hope. It was the fact that Fallout New Vegas 2 was reportedly in very early talks at Microsoft. This was some very interesting claims going around, but in 2025, earlier on in the year, cold water was thrown all over this possibility. From Fallout New Vegas writer Chris Avallone, who's a major developer of Obsidian, he also co-founded it, and he said specifically that, I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, it's happening at Team Obsidian and know the rundown of their upcoming titles and franchises. And also just important to understand the New Vegas team that made that game all those years ago, very different than the Obsidian that exists here in 2025. Now, Todd Howard has talked about some of the limitations he has with the Fallout franchise. He's kind of driven crazy a lot of fans of Fallout, because he's pretty much made clear Fallout is America. That's it. And specifically, he said in an interview a couple years ago, my view as part of the Fallout shtick is on the Americana naivety. And this limits things, because we're not going to see Fallout go to Europe, we're not going to see it go to South America. There's some very interesting post-apocalyptic settings that a lot of fans want. Now, fortunately, though, just because Bethesda doesn't want to do that, the creativity of the modding community is where we're seeing that happen. Last year, this was the experience that we talked about on the channel. I played through it completely. Fallout London, new setting, new characters, new everything. One of the best modding experiences I have ever played. It could honestly be the best. It was just a massive game-sized expansion that had a really unique setting, unique design, and it really was up there with the quality that we've seen out of Bethesda for the longest time. I don't know if that says more about Bethesda or the modding community, you can decide on that. But even just recently, we saw that Fallout London actually got a big DLC with 80 new NPCs, 30 new quests, a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, thousands of bug fixes and improvements. This is what I mean, the creativity coming from the mod community is one of the big things that is keeping this franchise alive and thriving. And it's not even just stopping there, because while Fallout London blew me away last year, we just got a trailer and an announcement that Fallout Bakersfield is going to be possibly releasing in 2027. This is an entire remake built in Dune, and it just got a new trailer. It's an ambitious, fan-led project that will recreate the original 1997 RPG Dual City and the GZ Doom engine, basically Boomer Shooter Fallout. And like I said, the reviews and all this footage and gameplay see the characters is glowing, and right out saying Doom-based Fallout fandom has emerged after 3 years, and it looks like the best Fallout in over a decade. PC Gamer pretty much said the same thing. It's downright nuts how good the game is Fallout, and he looks and I'm begging Bethesda to take note. PC Gamer furthermore says, I've not found it. What I have found is one of the most delicious and faithful recreations of the original Fallout 5 first person that I've ever had the pleasure of seeing. The 3D Fallouts of Bethesda and Obsidian era have never quite captured the grimy, pulpy aesthetics of the original games, the limitation of the engine as much as anything. I think that GZ Doom is an absolutely perfect match for it. The way the ghouls of Necropolis melt into puddles of gore and goo when set upon by our heroic protagonist is pitch perfect. A startlingly effective recreation of the isometric original just transplanted to ground level. There's even a bit where he misses despite a 94% chance of hitting. We are home. And like, this is the innovation, the creativity of the Fallout franchise, and Bethesda really has been missing for a while now. And this has been one of my core complaints with the franchise. It's not just writing, it's not just design. It's the fact that Bethesda, and really just a lot of the AAA games in this do not think outside of the box. And Todd Howard already said in the past, we're not going to be getting a Fallout 1 remake. Fallout 2, he doesn't believe in it. He does not want to do any of that. This is something he said in 2024, just last year. He ruled it out in an interview with Mr. Matty Plays. He said the main priority for us is to make sure they are available and we can still play them. So the PC obviously...
Nice one, Gabe. Nice one. Nice one.
Making sure that they run okay as far as beyond that. We've talked about it but our priorities in terms of, hey, let's go do dev work and make certain things work, they haven't been in those areas. So again, priority is, hey, can people load it up and play it? We want it to load up and run well. The rest of it, I could argue, some of the charm of games from that era and the original Fallout is a little bit of that age. This is the same argument he has made for why they'll never remaster. He doesn't want
Pushing together, pushing together.
I would never want to
Jeff, you're fucking throwing, man.
Well, we changed how this works so it's more modern. So as long as you can download it, as long as it loads up and runs, I love people to experience it the way it is. Now, while Bethesda has rejected this, maybe Microsoft feels differently. It's important to understand that Virtuous was the main developer behind this year's Oblivion remaster. So maybe Microsoft goes around them, finds another studio, maybe in exile, maybe Obsidian works on something like this. But this is the creativity. This is something that the franchise desperately needs. And it's just crazy that the modding community continues to deliver in ways that Bethesda can't do in 2025. And it's crazy for a studio that employs like 1,000 or so developers. But this is just one of the many problems we have with modern games. Another one was specifically what happened with Starfield Shattered Space expansion. That was one of the worst expansions I have ever played. It was truly just dreadful. And the thing that we heard coming out of Bethesda wasn't the fact that they were listening, they heard a lot of the criticism. It was the fact that they were proud of Shattered Space. We all are. This is what the design director, Emil Pagliarulo, I can never say his name right. But Emil, this is what he was saying, and that just shows that there is a clear disconnect from what Bethesda wants to make and what gamers want. And like I said, the fact that we're getting this only from the modding community really calls into question the future of this franchise. Now, with new installments, a lot of uncertainty with that, but we do know that this has been a rumor for a long time. Fallout 3 Remastered, it was just leaked again from an insider who said that it's too early in development to be showed at Fallout Day, which quickly approaches. So it's coming, it's just probably a couple of years away. And how involved Bethesda is with that, we don't know, because especially with the Oblivion remaster, Bethesda was not, they didn't develop any of that. That was from Virtuous. And that was also hit with just massive performance issues, and this has been a controversial thing a lot of people have been talking about right now. Even as of just this last month, it still runs extremely poorly on PC, and yeah, it was hit with negative reviews over its recent updates. For a lot of criticism with Virtuous, but this has kind of just been a trend with Xbox. This is why I'm saying, outside of Bethesda, can it be trusted that Xbox is going to find the right partner to make a new Fallout or do something with the Fallout franchise? It really is unclear. There's been a lot of excuses coming from Xbox management over the graveyard of cancellations and disasters. I mean, you can look to the likes of Arcane and Redfall, Rare and Everwild, The Initiative and Perfect Dark, ZeniMax Online Studios, and their Project Blackbird that supposedly Phil Spencer behind the scenes totally believed in until I guess he didn't. The trust with Xbox is just at an all-time low right now. And yeah, that has everything to do with the corporate pressure that is coming down from Microsoft, which oversees the Xbox brand and everything that's being developed and worked on. Microsoft is focused on profits, and they have said time and time again the last couple of years they want Xbox to be all in on their home run franchises. That's why they've been going all in on Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Minecraft, and yes, Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. And that's why, Todd Howard last year said that they were gonna avoid putting any dates on anything, but I fully believe the vision with Fallout 5 was to take their time with the Elder Scrolls 6 and then make the Fallout 5. But I truly feel that, especially with what we're hearing now in 2025 and the new leaks that have emerged, I think that Xbox is finally putting in motion a plan to have Fallout 5 not releasing maybe in 2031, but maybe in 2029. It's gonna be earlier for sure. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Fallout TV show, the popularity. 100 million viewers. The Fallout franchise, the popularity as of it is at an all-time high right now. And the Xbox brand doesn't have much going on for Fallout besides Fallout 76 and this TV show. And ultimately, that is not good enough, especially for a company that wants to be maximizing profits for all of their big-name franchises. And that's why in 2024, it was said once the Fallout TV show debuted and started, being immensely popular, Xbox wants the next Fallout game to come sooner. It's claimed. And this was specifically said from Jez Corden of Windows Central. He claimed that the company is aware of the demand of the Fallout label, and everyone is acutely aware of how successful the next title in the series will be. At this point, one of the only avenues the company would take to speed up the development of Fallout 5 is to take it away from Bethesda Game Studios entirely. That would make it the first major Fallout game not developed by Bethesda since 2010's Fallout New Vegas. And that's an interesting thing, especially with the fact that Todd Howard said that he did not want to do that with Fallout 5. But that brings us to this summer, in which we have new rumors and leaks that emerged surrounding Fallout 5. multiple Fallout games in development, including potential Fallout 3 Remaster, which we talked about earlier. This is coming from VGC journalist Jordan Midler, who made the aforementioned claim saying there are multiple Fallout projects in development. He then goes on to cheekily suggest that one of them is even the one that I'm sure you're all wanting, which is teasing a possible remaster of Fallout 3 among the crop of upcoming projects. And one of those projects is indeed Fallout 5, which has reportedly been fully greenlit as of this summer. This is interesting because it's not said that Bethesda Game Studios, the Maryland studio, is specifically working on this. There's actually been reports that Fallout 5's development is reportedly moving forward with an unknown studio, which really calls into question what's happening with this. But it was said, this again sourced from Jez Gordon of Windows Central, he claimed in the most recent episode of the Xbox 2 podcast that Fallout 5 has been greenlit, but is not entirely sure who is actually making it. Gordon believes that Bethesda's core studios are currently working on more Starfield DLC, they are, that's confirmed, as well as the Elder Scrolls 6, which would make sense since Todd Howard has said that the Elder Scrolls 6 is coming before Fallout 5. And it was noted here from GameSpot reported this is actual quote coming from Jez Gordon. From what I heard, it was a case of, do we want to sink a ton of money into getting this Project Blackbird to a point where it can compete with the established players in the market, or do we want to allocate that investment towards making Fallout 5? Jason Schreier of Bloomberg responded to this report. He just kind of gave a different perspective on this, saying Xbox didn't lay off thousands of people so they could move those resources to new projects. They laid off thousands of people to cut their overall fiscal year budget. Not necessarily really a dismissal of what's happening here, but I look to what happened with Halo Studios, and I really do think that this is finally Xbox making movement of having a studio focused on Fallout. And I really do have concern about this, not necessarily because of the idea. This is something I even floated years ago. It's just the Xbox leadership that exists right now, the management. They've shown time and time again, they're in over their head right now. Halo Studios got a new name, new engine, new games, new philosophy. They also got new leadership, and it's right now in crisis. All the rumors we've heard from artists that who's running the studio right now, Pierre, I forget his last name, but yeah, it's total chaos. We're about to see new projects introduced for the Halo franchise, and we'll see what happens with that. Halo's been one of those studios that's been mismanaged for over a decade now, and I truly fear that maybe this is what's ahead for Fallout, especially if Bethesda isn't necessarily, totally overseeing what's happening with Fallout 5. But yeah, Halo Studios' morale sinks following Xbox layoffs, with devs unhappy with the quality of upcoming Combat Evolved remake. There's a lot more. And it's worth mentioning again, I talked about this earlier on in the video, but former Bethesda VP Pete Hines has been critical of how Xbox is managing over Bethesda right now. There's no question that the company is not the same. When it worked, it was magical. And I just think that it's all extremely noteworthy, especially with what we've seen out of Bethesda, not necessarily just Bethesda Game Studios, but all the studios, how Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks was shut down. Arcane Austin, known for their work on Prey, they were shut down after Redfall, a game that they were hoping that was going to be canceled by Xbox leadership once they saw it. They did not. They gave more development afterwards to get things right, and then they just totally shut down that studio. And then there's been even more cancellations, obviously, with Project Blackbird, and a lot of developers questioning and concerned about now being under Microsoft's thumb. So as of 2024-2025, Bethesda's Todd Howard has still said that they are working on Fallout 5. I do wonder, maybe it is just they have this new studio that does the preliminary work, gets things started, but then Bethesda Maryland comes in once they've wrapped with the Elder Scrolls 6. So maybe the timeline has just moved ahead with that. Who knows? It really will be a while until we get clarity on this. But Todd Howard last year was talking about Fallout 5 and how the TV series was going to be avoiding certain things. One of the producers on the show said that we know all about Fallout 5. We're not telling anyone. This is Jonathan Nolan adding facetiously. And then Todd Howard said, well, there were some things where I said, don't do this because we're going to do that in Fallout 5. And yes, that was confirmation that Todd Howard stopped some Fallout 5 ideas from appearing in the Fallout TV show. Some theorize that may be why the NCR hasn't been featured as much, because they could have a big role within Fallout 5, especially if the rumors are correct that it's going to be set in, say, San Francisco. Ultimately, though, the only official things that we have on the horizon with the Fallout franchise is the Fallout TV series with Season 2. They're going to be exploring New Vegas. Maybe they'll be making some certain things canon. That's already been controversial. But there's also Fallout 76, which is actually bringing in the TV series. One of the characters, Walton Goggins, the goal, big New Vegas-inspired update, and it's actually going to be another map expansion, going to be Ohio Valley. So that's kind of interesting. So the Fallout franchise is continuing on. Just unfortunately, Fallout 76 doesn't really speak to me because I care about the story, characters, and factions and all of that. and 76 doesn't really deliver on that. It's a great shooter experience. You still have that Fallout backdrop, but it's far from the Fallout experiences that we all know and love. So 76 right now is the only active new Fallout experiences that we're getting. Maybe Fallout 4 gets some sort of new update with the TV show. We'll see with that. It usually isn't anything too substantial. But there's just a lot of uncertainty surrounding new spin-offs, new installments, and especially with Fallout 5, just a lot of questions and concerns released. Fallout London, Fallout Bakersfield, and probably more modding experiences to come. Thank God for the modding community, though. But what do you make of Fallout 5? What are you expecting? What are you hoping? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.
I will bring peace to this.
Unreal 5 is killing games? What?
This is an investigative report addressing the most negative aspects affecting modern game development, specifically the deterioration of realistic graphics and the manufactured increase in utility cost. I am Kevin Jimenez, the founder of Threat Interactive, a new game production studio aiming to unlock the full potential of this next generation of gaming can provide. And we'll show just how by the end of this video.
Okay.
Right.
There are three interconnected factors that need to be addressed: creativity, performance, and visuals. Let's begin with creativity. Several videos online are already bringing awareness of the decreasing quality of gameplay, open worlds, and the microtransactions affecting the majority of games.
The two biggest video game makers in America now make most of their money not from people buying games, but on subscriptions and spending within those games.
Yeah.
In fact, Electronic
That's why
Arts
every game does it.
and Take-Two Interactive both make a staggering 75% of their money from what's called microtransactions.
However, I
75%.
personally loathe the popular critique that photorealistic games are not fun, they lack art style, and they need worse graphics to fix it.
Yeah.
This defeatist attitude is a byproduct of modern development, not visual progress. As industry game developer veterans put it, one thing you do is 10 things you don't. Currently, graphics dominate the do list, leaving gameplay and art style that don't have to.
He's completely right. I feel like visuals for games totally take precedent over gameplay. It's so weird how somehow with video games, gameplay isn't priority number one.
Graphics are currently in a chaotic state. It's the entire development.
It's so weird.
Easily create highly performant photorealistic experiences. Competition can begin to solely focus on art direction and gameplay.
Yep.
But recent opportunities for outstanding games with captivating stories and incredible gameplay have been tarnished by the next two factors. 30 FPS on next-gen consoles is unacceptable for reasons.
Because it sucks. That's the only reason it matters. Why is 30 FPS unacceptable? Because it sucks. If you look at it, it looks like it sucks. It's not even a question. It's awful.
Help, please. Feeling
It
fantastic.
appears choppy and promotes a reliance on accessibility such as motion blur.
Yeah.
30 FPS also induces extreme jitter and motion on numerous screens. With only 30 frames, the quality of gameplay logic and base responsiveness falls short, especially when tons of the titles on that same basic responsiveness. This is real firepower! 60 FPS, and that was in 2013 2 teraflops hardware.
In my opinion, I feel like the expectation should be like 80 or 100 FPS, if not more. Like at this point, I don't even think it's to have like a really good, fluid, feel good game. Yeah, like 120. Yeah, exactly.
These titles, Spider-Man PS4, are kind of excused here. But modern studios are turning out these half-baked games with absurd requirements.
Well, here's what the problem is, right? Like, look at this. I don't know, I thought Remnant 2 was good. But like, slop. Okay, and like these two, RoboCop, I don't know about this one, and people did like Alan Wake 2, to be fair. I don't, yeah. I thought Remnant 2 had good graphics, but so many of these games are just garbage games. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about how when a game is bad in one thing, in a lot of cases it means it's going to be bad in everything else too. Like, you know, Starfield, Suicide Squad, and Forspoken. These games are garbage in like 7 different ways.
Turning out these half-baked games with absurd requirements, creating an illusion that 13 teraflops 2021 architecture is powerful enough for basic photorealistic performance standards set years ago. This leads us to our final issue. The basic standard of 60 FPS is only offered at the cost of our next and biggest problem.
us with the amazing Spider-Man!
I'm firmly advocate for photorealism, but the industry is advancing it and manages through cancer and real-time rendering. A graphics programming schedule that is described every game in its past.
This is real
It's
firepower!
called TAA, and that stands for temporal reality. This includes upscalers. There are great videos trying to bring awareness about this, but digital sound is an ignorant video that is crystal-creating massive information that is damaging the memory. I want to post false narratives that show why TA has
I don't know anything about it.
strengths in conjunction with
The move!
TA and upscalers stem from anti-animation, effects that aim to mimic the benefit.
Why is he dressed up like Ellen DeGeneres? Why is he
Proud
that?
of what you did here. Sorry, you made this mess, Spectre.
It ain't
What?
cheap! You're ready?
Oh, he's Canadian. Oh. Okay, never mind.
It's a 4K plus rendering, because 4K 60 FPS on affordable hardware, including that generation consoles, is feasible. True 4K, or higher rendering, ensures smooth edges of objects, better sampling of textures, thin objects, and specular highlights. As you decrease the resolution, stair-stepping eliasing emerges, and thin details on meshes and specular highlighting breaks apart. FSA addresses stair-stepping for a cheap cost and introduces noticeable blur on the entire image. The SMA eliminates the same edges without any blur, making it much more superior. In fact, the only advantage 4K downsample to 1080p versus 1080p with just SMA applied is thin detail and specular sampling. But modern TA is designed to run at any resolution by jittering the rendering view in 8 or more positions as frame rates.
Yeah, I noticed
That should
that.
not stop us from trying to achieve it.
Damn, I had no idea why this happened.
Are generated. After pixel reprojection logic is calculated and designed, past frames are combined, creating an 8K-like resolution addressing thin, undersampled objects and specular highlighting.
Yeah.
But all versions of these designs have several issues. Temporal designs are destructive to object or character motion within view. The problems I'm about to show aren't usually visible under a slower threshold of motion, which is why the industry markets with slow cinematic trailers or graphical showcases. But
What the fuck? I feel like I don't even want to watch the rest of this video because it's gonna make me see things that I haven't seen. I'm not seeing them right now. It's like this is like a fucking Morpheus red pill blue pill moment. That like after I watch this video, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, now I see it everywhere. Yeah, wake up. All right, let's get woke.
motion produced from gameplay gets annihilated with ghosting, blur, and smearing visuals. This is why still or slow image quality comparisons by major tech influencers are both worthless and misleading. What's the point in playing a realistic game that looks like this during basic player interactions? YouTube
Wow.
compression conveniently hides these effects of TAA and is usually mistaken for video compression artifacts. The 4K on YouTube resembles native uncompressed 1080p more than actual native uncompressed 4K.
Oh man.
Chances are you're playing games through an HDMI or better,
Yeah.
meaning your game's image quality is uncompressed. Temporal solutions and motion degrade resolution similar to low bitrate video compression. So having TAA on your gameplay is like adding compression to your gaming
I didn't even, so like if he's looking at it frame by frame,
similar
look
to
at
low
this.
bitrate video compression.
You
So having
don't have to be
TAA on
a
your gameplay is
witch
like
to
adding
find the
compression to your
magic in
gaming
this world.
experience.
But it
Because of
does
current
help.
hardware prices that aren't changing anytime soon, 1080p and 1440p remain the most consumer-friendly target resolutions.
Oh my, wait, oh my god, look at the
Changing anytime
difference.
soon, 1080p and 1440p remain the most
Jesus.
consumer-friendly target resolutions.
What the fuck was that?
1080p and 1440p remain the most
I've made my
consumer-friendly
share
target
of
resolutions.
mistakes. You don't have to be a witch to find.
I am no golden god.
But TAA ruins the resolutions the most.
Oh my
TAA
god.
upscalers not only ruin affordable gaming resolutions, but also damage luxury resolutions for those with enthusiast-grade graphic GPUs.
What's up?
TAA and upscalers are often bundled with ugly sharpeners that fail to fix ghosting or restore the original clarity and detail stripped away from smearing.
Yeah.
The FTA
Watch the
subreddit,
graph.
up
Yeah.
until the creation of the r/motion clarity subreddit, remained the only online community where consumers could finally speak loud against the industry's oxymoron stance on realistic graphics.
Uh-huh.
And they've listed hundreds of games.
Dude, look at that sword.
Securing the mission area.
I love videos like this because it's like you begin the video by thinking that it's just some nerd that has like an autistic fixation on something that nobody cares about. And then you end the video And you're like, wow. This is fucked. This is awful. Yes, I know. It's based. I know. Look at it.
They've listed hundreds of games across TNA, with recent titles throwing out additional AA options for upscaling methods only. Remember the SMA versus 4K comparison earlier? You could get the same sampling quality on thin and specular by reusing a single pass frame, which means long ghosting trails, blur, and smearing could be eliminated. I personally compiled several pieces of data showing these temporal methods could be redesigned to prevent all these hideous motion issues, which are listed in the video description. But clear and good TAA will never become mainstream because the smeary nature of current temporal solutions are being exploited to cover up lazy and cheap development practices. In hundreds of game titles, if you can fully disable temporal solutions, you are punished severely with numerous rendering problems. Temporal dithering and frame blending dependent rendering aspects.
Oh, that's terrible.
Temporal dithering and frame blending dependent rendering aspects.
Holy shit.
Bloom. Soft shadow. Denoise replacement for gray trace shadows. Ambient occlusion.
So it's just designed with all of this in
Screen
mind.
space contact shadows. Vegetation, fur, hair. Screen space reflections.
The jitter can't be
Illumination. Translucent materials.
Oh, wow. Not that.
Cosmic might returns.
Look at her glasses. This is awful.
Against the world!
No way. No. No.
Again!
How?
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Strip away TAA in several engines and these effects transform into an incomprehensible mess or reveal a poor approach to an aspect of rendering.
So it was never actually done right in the first place because they just assumed that they just smooth everything over in the end? Is that accurate? This is an AI video, bro? Well, I wish they used AI to make these games. They probably would have been better.
For the supposed fixes and optimizations offered by temporal
And also, I don't know if it is or not. I mean, it's just a guy.
But an industry line perpetuated by digital founders TAA
Yeah, look at that.
video is to claim that TAA and upscalers enable developers to optimize these effects by rendering them at lower resolutions, allowing TAA to smooth them with supposedly no cost. But if you do some digging, you'll discover older deferred titles from under a decade ago, rendering the same basic effects independently of temporal frame smearing with similar or better performance.
That's one thing I've noticed. I feel like graphics kind of peaked in like 2014 to 2017. And we haven't really had like a huge breakthrough since then.
Or similar better visual quality. And guess what? If you need extra
I
performance,
noticed that playing Metal Gear Rising Revenge.
programs to run on low resolution and will include phone temporal accumulation without blurring the entire frame. Modern implementations of last-gen basic visuals perform more fully because studios leverage the power of that generation consoles to cut financial costs on legitimate optimization techniques for faster releases. The financial savings don't end there though. TAA and upscalers enable studios to save money by integrating these popular and fully developed temporal algorithms into their engines instead of investing in the development of genuinely high-performing and self-resolving effects.
Because it's more expensive.
TAA, a large portion of rendering advancement papers tie in TAA or mention an upscaler such as DLSS as a required condition to solve some issue with the design.
Oh my god.
Speaking of DLSS, people...
So... That is insane. Wake up, Neo? Yeah, this is upsetting, guys.
Spider-Man!
This is really upsetting.
Born again!
Where the hell does it... So you're telling me that they're saving money and they're still... Yeah, they're saving money and they're still spending over $100 million making these games? I feel like we have a problem here?
Only label is better than
What's
native
this?
because DLSS is always compared to native with TAA applied.
Yeah.
Anything compared to the worst case scenario will appear improved.
Oh my god.
The so-called best TAAs are needlessly expensive and brand specific.
Yeah.
First, I have a bone to pick with DLAA. DLAA uses too many pass frames for reconstruction, which causes two problems. Long ghosting trails and significant blurring and meshing compared to native with SMA.
Do you want to know what's so bad about this? Is that I actually thought with a couple of these games that it was a design I didn't realize it was just the fucking graphics rendering being shitty.
We are undefeatable!
Yeah,
Stationary output. It also fails to smooth stair stepping and motion compared to SMAA. Applying circus methods with the newer DLL provides much better results, even though both examples are rendered at 1080p. But circus method isn't cheap. DLA at 1080p on a desktop 12 GB by 36 costs 0.75 milliseconds. Circus method bumps it up to 2.44 milliseconds. Image quality is far from poor, but the proprietary nature, cost, and blue moon AI mistakes makes it unreliable for the industry. XeSS 1.3 native AA mode suffers from the same problems as DLA, but costs 1.44 milliseconds of 1080p on the same machine. Applying circuit method gets image quality almost indistinguishable from circuit method DLSS, but costs 4.6 milliseconds. Next is Unreal's TSR. It's a little more complex because it implements the circuit method natively, but I give it the fairest shot possible by using UE 5.4's more optimized implementation. It's easy.
yeah, this is way worse. Like you can't tell really with this image, but you can easily tell with this one.
I like the cold.
I just don't understand how it's so bad, and they spend so much money on it.
It's easy to appear superior to Unreal's TAA, but TSR suffers from a specific hazy fizzle appearance that video compression doesn't present well enough to pair with my criticism of that aspect. But besides whether or not you think it looks fine or not, the biggest issue again is the cost when set by the maximum quality settings for anti-aliasing. It puts TSR 10 times the cost of TAA and stands around 3 milliseconds on a 3060 at native 1080p. That's the difference between 60 FPS and 50 FPS. Still not convinced it's too expensive? Let's look at the decent TAA again from 2017.
Wait, this is the way
A
it
nice
looks?
deep freeze. We're finding our groove.
Target neutralized.
Oh my god.
I require some
It's a PS4
Oh wow.
They didn't go with SMA because the cost combined with some horrible projection, so they went with sharpened FXA fallback for their two-frame TAA instead. But what if they use SMA instead? We would get 0.36 milliseconds versus both Unreal and TSR values. With still a low base cost, and these result in 30 FPS, if we were to keep alien costs under 1 millisecond on modern affordable hardware, we could catapult the quality even further with 60 FPS and use that 0.73 milliseconds of headroom with aspects such as SMA or advanced motion vectors.
I don't understand why they keep focusing on trying to make this like hyper realistic when the game plays at 30. I feel like if your game has to play at 30 FPS, just like real life isn't at 30 FPS. So at that point, like, what about that?
TSR was put under the same scenario on screen. I guarantee you it would look like a slime show even at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
These are TAA designed racism that must be combined to keep TAA computations costs low and stop it from producing the poor image quality we've settled for more than a decade now.
Yeah.
But effect dependency is preventing progress.
You stop them in their tracks.
Unreal has long been founded on this dependency, and still heavily does.
Down to 30
UE 5 is
seconds.
set to worsen this industry's problem because it's going to dominate the production of titles coming this generation. And Epic and its partners like CD Projekt Red have no concern over this matter.
Yeah, because CD Projekt Red is
So far, the FXA results in a lot from the devil compared to their temporal methods.
they're using it here now.
It's only a half true. They also
Because it's like I think about these like up-res cyberpunk videos, and none of them look like this.
information about TSR, presenting it as a method to achieve near 4K quality with just 1080p input. Of course, they showcase this with a stationary example. In reality, 540p with sufficient quality during accumulation can result in 8K resolution image with a stationary camera. That's fairy tales of fancy damage game development.
Wow.
Another out-of-context narrative Epic Games is pushing is that Nanite, as a fast away the render geometry and aims to eliminate the delicate common association.
The amazing Spider-Man!
Use your team with extreme overdraw. A compiled beta test of a specific Unreal Forms thread that proves this. Nana can cost as much as next-gen lighting, and pop-in will still remain a part of your gaming experience, because shadows, skeleton meshes, foliage, and open-world partitions will still introduce pop.
And we know this from PAX Day. Because PAX Day had that same functionality.
Even Brian Keras has stated Nana can have worse performance on optimized meshes, but stated users still enable it to save disk space. This come as a perfect example showing Epic Games' flawed position on what modern games really need. It doesn't matter.